welcome to Lolitary. I'm Verity.
And I'm Ariel, and today we are going to be doing a do-it-yourself Lolita skirt from a twin-size bed sheet we thrifted at the thrift store.
The sheet has these kind of faded purple and yellow flowers with a lot of green vines all around it. And when we saw it, we were immediately reminded of a dress we saw from Baby. So we're going to be copying that design, and I will show you a picture of it now. And we're going to be doing it in skirt form since we do not have enough to make the actual dress. And we will be making 2 skirts total. One will be the underskirt that has all the ruffles you see, and then we will be using the bed sheet to make the top skirt, which will be the colored fabric that you see on the picture.
So the other fabrics that we bought at Joann's were this white fabric that's nice and simple. We're just going to make the basic skirt underneath the skirt where you can't see it. This lace, cheap lace, it's a little itchy, but it's okay. It has flowers on it.
It will be the middle layer of the 3 ruffles at the bottom of the underskirt.
And a very, very nice chiffon, which is a cream color. It's the same color as the lace. And it will be other ruffles. We bought more of this because lots and lots of ruffles.
And then we also got some lace that will be trimming the top skirt. All in all, we spent about $55 on all of the fabric together, and that's not including elastic and thread because we buy those things in bulk, so we naturally have those around. You might have to buy those, but overall that is a very good price for a Lolita skirt, and we will be listing in the description the yardage and the amount that we spent on each individual thing.
Okay, well, let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to draft out your skirt and all the measurements. So for us, our cotton skirt that was underneath the top skirt measured out to be 14 inches from the bottom of the elastic band to the very top of the ruffle. And that's not counting the seam allowance for attaching the ruffle or the allowance we needed to add for the elastic. So we added about 4 more inches, 3 inches for creating the casing of the elastic, and 1 inch for the ruffles, because we knew we would take a lot since we were serging it. Now the elastic band is 30 inches in circumference for us, so we're going to be gathering down the full rectangle length of the cotton, which is 36 inches, down to the 30-inch waist with the elastic band. Now the ruffles themselves are 240 inches long, and they're in total going to be adding 9 inches to our skirt, which brings our skirt to be 23 inches long, which reaches my knee and a little over Ariel's knee. So then we have a set of numbers here, and you can see them, they're all lined up with each ruffle. So our first column of numbers here, the 5, 7, and 10, those are marking how long each ruffle is actually cut to. So the top ruffle is going to be cut to 5 inches, the mid ruffle is 7 inches, and the bottom ruffle is 10 inches. Now the second column is marking how much of it is going to actually be showing, since these layers are all layered on top of each other. So there will be 5 inches of the top ruffle showing, 2 inches of the middle ruffle, and 3 inches of the bottom ruffle showing. And that is the basics of what you need to figure out for your skirt. The measurements will vary for each person due to height and just preference, but that is what we went for with our skirt, and feel free to use those measurements if they happen to work for you. So we are starting off by cutting the cotton fabric for the base of the skirt. So I'm just cutting straight down the center of our yardage. That way we can just make the casing and measure from the bottom of the casing to the length that we want the cotton to be. But we're cutting 2 panels that we're going to be sewing together, since this is a rectangle skirt, which will give us a cupcake shape. So we're just gonna sew these 2 panels together. There's no right side to this fabric, just sew it together right along that short length there. Alright, so here we're showing that the elastic wraps around Ariel's waist, and we lost the clip that shows it wraps around mine, but it does. It's 31 inches and it fits around both of us. Alright, so when we're working with chiffon here, cutting it is very hard to do. So what you want to do is you want to line it up just right and make sure you take your time with it. And then before you pull the left side off of it, you're going to want to pin along this line here and make sure that the layers don't shift around. So before you separate them, make sure you pin everything in place over and over and over again. It's time consuming, but you will thank yourself later, because if you don't, you will make this project a lot harder than it has to be. So learn from our mistakes, because this is really hard to work with. So now that we've cut out all the pieces of the ruffles, we are just sewing the panels together and hemming them. Here Ariel is hemming the lace, and I'm right next to her at the moment, hemming the chiffon and sewing that together. So we just spent the rest of day 1 hemming, and next is going on to day 2, where we will be at my house.
It's day 2 of sewing, and today we are at Rarity's house. Right now we're in her brother's room. Later we'll be in the craft room / her mom's office, so we won't be doing much talking. Today we really need to be at Rarity's house because I have a serger. And a serger is going to be very important for this project, because if you're using the same type of fabric we are, such as chiffon, you'll notice it frays a lot. So you have 3 options for this. We have a serger, which is very, very useful, and it's the main one that you'll want to use. If you have a serger, you're going to want to use it. And the other option is to just fray check all along the sides, but that might leave some staining, so that one is the least desirable one. And the option that I normally use is I do a zigzag stitch around the edge because I don't have a serger.
So, the 2 spots we'll be using the serger. So when we sew all the layers together, when we ruffle them, then we have to sew all those layers to the skirt, the base of the skirt. That's when we will serge. That way we are serging off all of the edges on all the lace and everything. And then we'll also do the serge for the back center seam of this skirt. And that's really the only 2 places you're going to need a serge, because that gets the sides of it and the tops of these. And that's all you need. So if you don't have a serger, you can use one of these other options, or if you don't have that, then you can try and wing it, but you don't want it to fray through your seams, because then it will be falling apart on you, and you don't want to do that because it'll be a waste of your time after. So,
exactly.
Let's get up to sewing, and
let's get started!
Hopefully finish this today.
Yeah! Woo. See ya!
Alright, so we're checking in before we go up to sew. This is where we're at. We've got the elastic cut to 31 inches. We've got the cotton cut, and we have the casing sewn into the cotton, and all the dimensions of the cotton are good. And then we have our top layer of chiffon cut, and we just have to hem it and serge them panels together because they haven't been sewn together yet. And then we have our lace, which is a little bit too long right now. We need to cut it down to 240 inches. And then we have already hemmed it, so we're good there. And then we don't have to serge the top of it because it doesn't fray. And then we have our bottom panel cut, we have it hemmed, and we're going to have to serge the side seams in between each of the panels that we did, which I never mentioned before, but we do have to do that. And then when we're layering it, we're going to lay the lace on top of this, like that. And then we're going to lay the chiffon on top of that, so right across the top, hand ruffle it, and then we're going to serge that to the top cotton, and then we're going to insert the elastic, and then sew down the center seam down the back, and the bottom skirt will be done. So our goal is to get the bottom skirt done today and get the top skirt done tomorrow. Alright, so we're starting off our sewing day by hemming the rest of the chiffon and sewing the panels together. And then next we're going to be putting all the layers together. So here you can see we've laid all of the layers out, layered them up, and we're just going along where we're going to be sewing and pinning all the layers together so they don't move. And then as I'm sewing it, it's very heavy, so I had to throw it over my shoulder, and I put the bobbin in upside down so that way the tension is off and it will automatically ruffle it for me. But you just sew one long basting stitch.
Yeah. And we'll cut it
In
out.
case you don't know, Ariel wanted me to say it, but you grab one string and you just pull on the fabric and it'll ruffle itself for hand ruffling.
Like
So,
this.
yeah,
Ooh.
I'm holding on to one string and you just pull on the fabric and now that stuff is ruffled. And then you have to move it all the way down the thread. But
Until you have the length that you want.
we've ruffled the ruffles down to the same length of the cotton. We're just pinning it down, and then we're going to take it over to the serger. Now, serging it can be really tricky. You want to make sure that you aren't catching the underlayer of cotton underneath it, because you can completely ruin your skirt, because you'll serge it and you'll cut the cotton when it's not supposed to be cut. And you also want to make sure that you have all 3 layers caught in your serging stitch, because if you don't do that, you're going to have to go back and hand sew a few spots. We had to do that. We went through and double checked every layer after this, and we also had to go through and seam rip out our basting stitch that you saw there. But yeah, be very careful with this step. Alright, so now that you finally got all the ruffles done, it's time to have a little party with your skirt. Very happy in this moment, but that's the most work intensive part of it. Now we just put the elastic in. As you can see, I've already done here. That's what I'm holding the skirt by. And then we put on a petticoat and safety pinned the elastic together so that we can double check the length, and it laid exactly how we wanted. It was perfect. And then we just have to serge up the back seam I'm showing there, and the skirt is done. So, yay! The hard part of this project is finally over. Time to move on to the top skirt for the next part.